I just spilled my whole tea. My whole tea. It's gone on the floor. Quite early in the morning, my kids haven't woken up yet, and so it's a perfect opportunity for me to sit down and have a quiet, hopefully, quiet chat with you guys about something that I've been feeling very passionate about over the past few months, maybe even to a year. I feel like in today's society, there's a huge swing on like the mockery of motherhood and the mockery of it's gonna ruin your life and you're not gonna have any life left and it's gonna ruin your body, and kids are so much hard work and they're generally a negative thing and you just have to keep getting through and it's only going to get worse and it's only going to be really terrible and really bad with like, but you'll still love your kids. And that's like the positive thing. Don't worry, you'll still really love them, but it's going to be horrible and you're going to hate it. I mean, no one's really that overt apart from on the internet. So I just kind of want to address that today and talk about the 10 things that have absolutely transformed my motherhood journey. Now, I am very real with you guys. I have only been a mum for 3 years as of yesterday. My eldest daughter turned 3. And so I have only been practicing these things for about 3 years. But they really have transformed so far. But I will let you know in 3 years, in 5 years' time, whether these things still apply. But for right now, they are really helping me in the kind of trenches of having a 3-year-old, an almost 2-year-old, and being pregnant. Just kind of coping with 2 toddlers, coping with managing a house, being a full-time stay-at-home mum. Because I don't find many stay-at-home mums, like full stay-at-home mums. And now I know we have to work for financial reasons and all of that sort of stuff. But just having tips for like, I am at home all the time with my kids. I'm either diving into the depths of depression, or I'm totally losing myself, or I'm gaining 50 pounds, 70 pounds, whatever, because I just feel like a slob all the time and I can't get out of it, and I feel like I'm just trenching through mud, because that is what it can feel like sometimes. And I'm going to tell you that about 6 months ago, I felt in that same place too. I felt like this is just horrendous. I'm not having a good time. It's hard work and it's just difficult. And I let myself slip into this mindset that, this is just how it is and I'm going to lose myself, and I'll find myself again in 20 years time when my kids have left home and my husband and I will be young grandparents, and all of those worldly things that people tell you. But I just want to say that that doesn't have to be the case. Here are the 10 things that have absolutely helped me. There are 1,000 other things as well, but I tried to narrow it down to about 10 things that have really helped transform my motherhood journey to feel like I'm at least thriving, just a little bit. Okay, first thing I want to address is, number 1, motherhood is not an inconvenience. It's not a burden. It's not something to be seen as a negative thing, but it is an absolute blessing. I believe it is an absolute blessing from the Lord to be able to raise your children and to be a mum and to have kids. I think in the life that we sort of live, you get a job and then you think, oh, maybe at some point down the line we'll have kids, and then we have kids and then, oh, but I can't wait to get back to work. I can't wait to find myself again in a job or in a role. And that's not necessarily a bad or a sinful thing to think, but it just always felt a little bit strange to me that it was like, we'll get through the motherhood thing, we'll get through the kids thing, we'll have maybe 1 or 2 and then we'll get through, and then I'll carry on and I'll be able to find myself again. Don't worry, it'll be fine and we'll cope. And I never really thought that should be the way that we view motherhood. And we shouldn't view it as an inconvenience to our own life, but as something that is an absolute gift and something to treasure. The Bible says that children are a heritage from the Lord. And to raise children and to have children should be, when I shifted my mindset into this should be a blessing, this is a blessing, this is something that is a joyful thing that I am proud to do, I felt very relaxed all of a sudden. I felt like the burden of sort of, we'll get through it, we'll raise them, we'll send them to a good school, that sort of mindset. When that was lifted, it was like, no, I'm here right now, and I'm with my children right now. It's an extreme blessing for me to be able to stay at home with them and not have to leave the home and go to work or anything, but to stay with my kids at home. and to enjoy them, to slow down and enjoy motherhood, and not think of it as something that I need to get through and rush through and get to the end of. I feel as though it's easy to have a mindset that hard is bad. And just because being a mum or being a parent is hard work doesn't mean that we should run from that or should avoid that or try and live such an easy, stable life. Like, hard work is a good thing and it's a gift from God, and we should be working hard, and that is the will of God, just to be working hard and not be idle. What I'm saying is it's okay to embrace the chaos and the hardness of motherhood without saying this is horrible and horrendous and I hate it. It is hard work. It's physically challenging. Of course, being pregnant 3 times in 3 years is physically challenging. Having 2 under 2, it's physically challenging. Waking up early, waking up through the night, these are physical challenges, but it's not something we need to run from and like try and avoid and try and run out of because it's hard. Hard isn't bad, and I think it's not something you just slip into, motherhood. It's not something that we just need to survive through. It's a high calling from God, and if you think you're raising the next generation that are going to go on to have kids, and you think how you were raised and you raised your kids the same way, like not necessarily wanting to or not wanting to, we've been thinking about it, but you do what was done to you almost. And then obviously you don't have to, you can change those things or improve or whatever you want to do. But like, you're thinking generations ahead when you're having kids. Like, my grandchildren, my daughter and my son in here will have their own children. And I will be their grandmother, and the way that I act, the way that I am, the way that I mothered my children is going to have a huge impact on them. And the same with my husband, the way he fathers them and is a father to them is going to have a huge impact on what they do with their kids and how they find their childhood and and then they're going to raise kids. And it's just like this continuous thing that is so important, and it goes so beyond the like, oh, this is really rough right now. It's such a future thing to kind of be grasping and looking towards and striving towards, to have multi-generational families that love and serve the Lord, that raised godly kids, and etc, etc, etc. I don't feel like my brain is making sense just yet, so I'm hoping I'm going to get into this properly. I don't know if it's too early or whatever. I think I'm rushing through because I can hear my kids, and so I'm only on point 1. Number 2, this is another very large topic. This one is on marriage, and I will get onto some more practical tips, so do stay tuned. But I just kind of want to address these first 2 because they are such a big mindset shifter, and you have to have this right mindset in order for the other things to follow. And that is for your husband and yourself, for you and your husband to be on the same team. If you are not on the same team, things just go wrong. If you're like grumbling about your husband, if you are constantly complaining, even in your own heart, it doesn't have to even be out loud, but if you're constantly complaining, you've got this like root of bitterness towards each other, then 1, that's not a fun place to live from. Like, that's just not fun. That's just not joyful. That's not godly. But 2, your kids know, and they will see you not prioritizing your husband and not prioritizing your marriage, and that will affect them. And I think that is just huge, and it's something that is so easy to do. We complain about each other. You get with the girls and we talk about, oh, he doesn't do this and my husband doesn't do that, and what does yours not do? Oh, I can't believe it. But if we stop this, then I believe that our family life will completely change, and therefore change generations and change the world without being too dramatic. But your husband is not the enemy. We cannot be living in there, he didn't do this for me, he didn't do that, and so now I'm mad, now I'm going to be mad, now I'm going to live in this state of bitterness. we can't be living in that place with anything, but not least our husband, who we spend so much time with, who's around all the time. Or at least in my case, my husband mostly works from home and he's around a lot. And if I just have these roots and seeds of bitterness towards him, then that's going to come out at some point, and that's affecting every area of our lives, not just our marriage. It's affecting our kids, it's affecting how we work, how we behave, how we interact with others, whether we just want to escape from the home and get out because, oh, I can't stand her, she's so naggy, she's blah, 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 blah. I just want to get out with the boys, I want to have a nice time, that kind of thing. It's affecting our whole life. So we must be putting our marriage, I would say second, God first, and then our marriage, and then our children. Because from that solid foundation of having a good marriage, a biblical marriage where you're on the same team, you're communicating well, you're loving each other well, you are addressing things that need to be addressed and talking about things that need to be talked about, committing time to each other, committing to speaking positively about one another to other people and not complaining. Now, I have fallen into this sin, of course I have, like really, it's a challenge for me too, but mostly having this attitude of we are on the same team, let's talk about this, let's develop this, let's work on this together. That is just going to really, really help your family life at home. And I challenge you to take every thought that you're having about your husband, if it's causing any root of bitterness, just to surrender it to the Lord, ask for forgiveness and say, sorry, Lord, please help me to see him how you see him, address the issue, talk about things, but don't let it cause a root in you that is just going to be destructive, because those roots hurt and they affect your whole entire life, and they affect your joy and your willingness to serve, your willingness to cook for the family and clean for the household. You know, all of those things, it's going to affect it all, because you end up doing it in bitterness and anger and, oh, I'll do it then, I'll do it then, I'll do it then. You know, oh, it's me again, washing the pots, whatever it is. Trust me, we've been there. I've seen it in my own heart, I've seen it in my own life and in everyone around me. I mean everyone, but lots of people around me, and it's just sad and it's not a fun way to live. Okay, number 3, this is huge. This is huge, hard work, but huge. Are we ready? Is it like controversial point number 3? Yes, I think so. No screen time for kids. Just gonna go ahead and say it. No screen time for kids. This has been a challenge. Now, okay, I'll tell you a little story. We had a huge TV, a nice TV. We liked it. We didn't want to get rid of it. It broke, and my husband, in our old house, his plan was to fix it. And it was laid on the kitchen table for a really long time. We kind of had it open and like tried to fix it and stuff. We moved house, had another baby, pregnant again. Just this TV hasn't been fixed, not least because I was sick of seeing it around, so I store it in a cupboard really up high so my husband can't even see it, so it's not triggering him to fix it. So it is what it is, it's just not getting fixed. And so we didn't have one for a long time. The pastor of our church gave us like a cute little TV just to use in our lounge and stuff. And a really small one, like not one that you kind of want to be watching TV from it, like it's not that pleasurable or anything, or it doesn't give you a full experience. And so we didn't really use it that often, but I would put it on for kids and for like a few nursery rhymes and stuff like that, and we'd have it on in the background. It became a background thing. So that's not saying that we don't watch anything on there, because we do watch. If my husband and I want to watch something, we watch something on the laptop. And the same with the kids, I would use my iPad and put on some nursery rhymes and things like that. So this isn't direct to the TV, this is general screen time in general. But mostly we just float between like the iPad and the little TV and the laptop. One day I decided, I think it started when I noticed that after screen time, after TV time, however long that was, my daughter, who was really young, so I feel quite bad for throwing it in front of her, but she was 1 or 2. When I went to turn it off and said, okay, that's enough, like going through the process, say bye-bye to the TV, like tried to do it in a really nice way and everything, and adapted my technique to make it not so, but she was always still very, very grumpy and very overstimulated. And that was even if I was watching something very calm, you know, nothing too overstimulating, or she would just get into this state. And I thought, oh, that's not fun. That's not worth it, because we'd end up having a whole like rest of day thrown into this huge funk that we can't get out of because we had some screen time. And so a little bit about me, I am all in or all out. And so I decided to go all out with the TV. And we don't have the little TV in here. My plan is to give it back to the pastor of our church and say thank you for letting us use it, but no thank you. That has been amazing, and it's been about like 6 months. My kids haven't watched anything, I don't think, unless maybe at grandparents' house they have. But for me, they haven't watched anything, and their attitude, their independent play, their general life at home is so much better. Now, don't get me wrong, there are moments where I'm like, oh, I really need to go and cook dinner. I need to get something on the table. They're both having that hour that we all know about as mums is hard work. And I just need some space, and they need some downtime. And I tend to think, oh, it'd be really nice to have that in this moment. But because it's not there, it's not even a temptation. It's like, well, that's not an option. And I don't tend to do the iPad thing anymore. But removing it from their life has been so beneficial. And they spend so much time outside and playing independently and with me as well. Of course, I'm with them 24/7 and I'm constantly on the floor playing with them, but it's just helped our family a ton, and they don't expect it. There was a time when my daughter would expect the screen time, and she did go through like a bit of a transition, like let's watch this, but removing that from her life has just been so good for our family. And I would recommend you try it, even at least for a week, or whether that's reducing screen time down. But it's just such a good thing to remove the overstimulating thing in their life that isn't necessary. I think there's a podcast from Now That We Are Family. I know that they're a screen-free family, and so I don't think they have smartphones either, which is very challenging, because I think if we're going to say to our kids no screen time, then as parents we can't be sat on our phones all the time. We can't be sat just scrolling through our own phones just like this while we're with them, because again, it doesn't measure up. Like if we're saying no to them but yes to us, we can have all of this, then they're going to see that, and they're going to pick up on that, and then they see some inconsistency there. So I would also recommend trying to remove as much as possible the phone from like the space that you're in, unless it's like an emergency or something. And I'm not very good at this, but this is something that I do want to improve on since listening to the Now That We Are Family podcast and listening to their kind of screen-free family entirely. Even the adults, really, they only use their laptops for work, I believe. You'll have to correct me on that. I'm babbling on about it. But it's just really helped us, and we just have such a peaceful home. Like there's no noise. There's noise. There's kids' noise. There's screaming, and there's all sorts going on. But there's no like extra added background noise that's just overstimulating us all and causing us all to just go completely mad. And I would recommend trying it, just at least maybe even for a week or so. It's really helped us. It's really, really helped. I'm sorry. This next one is not allowing your kids to rule your entire life to the point where you don't do anything else, you don't get anything else done, you don't have any hobbies or activities that you say no to so much because you have kids, but rather bringing them along, bringing them into life. And that's play for them, that's fun for them. We do some random things as a family that my husband and I really like to do, and we bring our kids along and say, look at this, and yes, it takes 10 times longer, yes, it's more hard work, but it's worth it, and we're bringing them along into our life activities, and into our social lives, and into our church life and activities and Bible studies, and they're a part of it. They're not something that we have to say no to. Like, we have to say no to all of our outside activities all the time because we have kids. It's, we'll figure that out. Like, we're going to bring them with, and they're going to come along on this life journey with us, rather than our lives entirely stopping because we have children. The main point here is to not stop living your life because you have kids, but to live life with them, doing stuff with them. That it could even be doing stuff at home with them, like getting the dishwasher done with them, or cleaning up with them, being outside, gardening with them. All of these things that you might enjoy or that need to be done, or socializing, doing it with them, has really helped me to just relax, not least like have a more relaxed approach to motherhood and a yeah, sure attitude. But also, it's so valuable for them to be involved in life and to not be, again, a burden or something that stops your life, but you're living life with your kids. This one's huge, and I've struggled with this next one for a good few years. It's hanging out with like-minded people. I think I have a good mix of friends, and definitely no one really believes the same thing that I do. From a Christian standpoint, yes, people believe what I do, but it's really important to hang out with like-minded people and to have an influence around you that is positive and not gonna just weigh you down. Hanging out with like-minded people has really, really helped me to have a more positive look on motherhood, because if I'm constantly around people that are like, oh, this is so bad, da 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 da, I'm so drained, like I'm completely lost myself, da 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 da, or gossiping or anything, just burdensome people complaining, it's just a drain, and it really affects you as well. And I think it eats away at your insides to the point where you become like that too, and then your whole household is affected. And so hanging out with people that believe the same things, and not exclusively, that's not saying we can't hang out with people that don't believe the same things, because I do that all the time, but mostly having this is an important part of my life, and I'd like to enjoy it with other people that also believe the same things, and to work on that together and have a goal together, and that kind of thing has been really valuable for my motherhood journey, and having those friends and people around that you can talk about issues with, and that could be online for a while. Trust me, it was for me. It was an online, in this community, in the YouTube space, that I found this encouragement the most. And it's only until maybe the last 6 months that I found a couple of people where I can really just share this with and be encouraged and not feel alone. But if you are in that alone season where you only really know people around you that are full stay-at-home Christian mums, and that's online like it was for me, and it was on YouTube, then I encourage you, keep going, and pray for those friends, pray for those people around, because the Lord wants to bless you with those, and they will be a blessing eventually, and you will receive that. But for right now, just stick it through, because I was there 6 months ago for 2.5 years, just going through not having anyone around that really believed in motherhood, believed in staying at home. So just keep going, you're doing well. Okay, this one is huge, and it's surrendering your heart to the Lord in overwhelming moments. So sometimes when the kids are screaming, there's lots going on, and I feel tired from pregnancy, the pots need washing, and the tumble dryer's going, so it's really loud, and there's all sorts, and there's a spill on the floor, everything. Opening my hands and saying, Lord, open up my heart to this moment, expand my heart for this. I think there's a verse in the Psalms that's like, I will run in the way of your commands and you will enlarge my heart, or something along those lines. and keep running in the way of His commandments. Keep doing the next thing faithfully and full of a good attitude, opening up your hands and saying, Lord, enlarge my heart for this. Enlarge my heart for this time, this absolute moment of chaos, and help me to get through it and make it through. And that has been huge for me, like in the moments of, I just want to cry, I just want to give up, I just want to go to bed, I just want to have a bad attitude and shout at everyone, to open up my hands literally physically, maybe in my heart say, Lord, enlarge my heart for this. I will keep running in the way of your commands. Please enlarge my heart. And He provides the strength exactly in the temptation and the moments that we need it most. Another huge one is looking after myself. Good morning. My daughter is here with us, so let's just get this going. Number 7 is to look after yourself. It's such a huge part. I think with baby number 2, I definitely didn't look after myself. Eating whatever I want, not really exercising, not doing a lot. Eating all the time as well, that's been a huge thing that I've changed recently. Just eating less and eating like less frequently. So a tiny bit of intermittent fasting here and there, and also sticking to 3 meals a day and no snacks, because when we're constantly spiking our insulin, there are so many symptoms, and it's really interesting to read about, but there are so many symptoms that come along with that affect our mood, our energy levels, our sleep patterns. Like, I've been sleeping so much better just from doing this, and I've just been trying it out, like experimenting a little bit here and there. Obviously I am pregnant, so I'm not thinking about it too much. And again, breastfeeding, I don't know how much I'll be thinking about it then either. If I am hungry, I will just eat. You know, I don't get to the point where I'm like shaking on the floor. But just doing something to take care of myself and thinking more consciously about what I'm eating and whether it's giving me energy or whether it's just making me feel so rubbish and so negative. That has really helped my motherhood journey over the past few months. And I would recommend finding something that works for you, whether that's an exercise routine or an eating things, like changing something up in your lifestyle, because the way that we do our lifestyle and like what we eat and how we eat and everything like that affects every other area in our life. Because when we have low energy, when we're just feeling so groggy all the time, if we could just change that by not eating gluten or not eating right before bed, not eating 2 hours before bedtime, then we should do those things, because yes, they're hard in the moment, but the long-term effect of like feeling more energized and feeling healthier helps you be more present with your kids. Helps you be more present with your kids, with your family. If you feel good, then you're going to act better, and etc, etc. So it's been a huge part of the last few months for me, and has really, really helped. So I'd recommend looking into that if you haven't already. Number 8 is simplifying our space. Oh my word, getting rid of stuff feels so good. And again, I'm an all-in, all-out character, so I have to be careful not to be too extreme and just give everything away, because I think I would if I didn't have my husband around, or like my kids obviously playing with the things that they really like. I think I would get rid of everything. This has been so huge for just the functionality of our household.
Can you help me put it down?
Yeah. Okay. I've been significantly reducing my wardrobe, the kids' toys. We're now on a toy rotation system, and I just bring out little things to put on the table. There's some books there, baby, and what's on that? A trolley with some wooden blocks. But just really simplifying has helped them, helped me tidy up faster, like get it done in 5 minutes. I think the minimal mum's like says that that's her goal, like it must be a 5-minute tidy up, or it doesn't happen. Or, you know, and that's been my goal. Like, can I tidy up the downstairs quickly in 5 minutes and get it pulled back together? And so if it takes me longer than that, then I know I need to keep decluttering and keep going through. And it is a process. If you want to join, then please do subscribe. I do take you through some decluttering that I have been doing over the past few months and will continue to do, especially with baby on the way, that like nesting, decluttering feeling. Just nesting and wanting to get rid of things has just, yeah, it's been a huge part of my life recently, and it's just been really useful. So I'd absolutely recommend simplifying, decluttering your space. It has transformed my motherhood journey, because when things are easily pulled together, when there's not absolute chaos everywhere, I'm a better mum, I'm less stimulated, the kids are having a nicer time because there's not too much stuff, my husband comes home to a nice home, it doesn't feel too chaotic. And obviously it still gets messy, and yes, I spend a lot of time tidying still, but it's just not that overwhelming. I can get this done in a short space of time. This one is a little practical tip. Number 9 is letting a positive moment or a little bit of laughter take you out of a bad mood. And I used to do this when I was in dance training, and a teacher said this once, and it was, if you're having a rough day, but then something makes you laugh, or you find something funny, or someone makes you smile, or you see a happy moment, don't just look at that and sort of quickly enjoy it and then go back into your grump. Let that feeling, let that dopamine, let that rush take you out of the grump that you're in. And obviously, yes, I mean, confess your sin, say sorry for the grumpiness. We shouldn't be living in a grumpy state. So letting those small moments take you out of that grump, and then just embracing and enjoying the day from that point on, rather than slipping back into, oh no, I'm in a bad mood, so that's not going to make me happy. Just enjoying those moments and letting them take you out. For me, it's my kids. Sometimes my kids are hilarious and say such funny things and do such random things. And I try and let that moment take me out of my like chaos in my mind, or funk that I'm working myself into, or grumpiness, or like I'm just in a get stuff done mode, I just need to move past this. Like, let that take you out of it and embrace the moment. Number 10, last one, but very, very important, and that's learning to rest. Learning to take time to say no to things, to rest when you need to. Maybe that means taking a Sabbath, saying no to certain things on certain days where you can rest with your family, saying no to screen time with others or with your family, and instead having a restful, calm time when you're drinking tea or coffee together and you're enjoying the children or enjoying the outside. Just rest is so, so important. It reduces our cortisol levels. Like, it's just a huge part of life, and it's what the Lord commands us to do. And so I would encourage you to find out what that looks like for you. And I'd be really intrigued to hear about what that looks like for you, because I'm constantly finding new ways to figure out what that looks like for me. I'm quite rubbish at it. I think with the YouTube channel, with kids, with the house and everything and hospitality, I can get into like just a do mode and not very good at resting. And so accepting help when someone offers it to you, saying yes to grandparents taking the kids for a weekend, so your husband and yourself and your husband can spend time together. Another example of this is on Saturday mornings we sleep in, like for as long as we possibly can. It's like 7:30 by the time our kids are awake and needing us, and my husband brings coffee and it's slow. The kids join us in our bedroom, and that's a real nice change in the week, because normally I'm up early. I'm up at 5:30 getting stuff done, but just to have that like restful time, those restful moments, rather than being on go all the time, is absolutely going to help your motherhood journey, and it absolutely has helped mine too. Thank you so much for being here today. If you want to find out more about our family, homemaking, motherhood made simple, then please do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Lots of love.